Alright guys, today I watched VHS. Um, I really like this. I liked aspects of this. Some of the segments were very good. In case you don't know what this is an anthology horror film. Hold on. Sorry about that. This is an anthology horror film, and basically what it is, it's 6 different segments, each directed by a different director. There's one kind of, the basic story is four guys break into this old guy's house because they're being paid to break in and find a certain tape. Now, of course, they get in there and there's like 100 tapes, and they're all VHS tapes. And so they're going through, and of course they're watching some of them. They're supposed to know which one it is that they're supposed to take. And I had a little bit of a problem with that overarching story. It was a nice way to set up the different tapes that we're going to see because these guys are sitting down to watch them. But I don't know, it seemed almost more like a MacGuffin type thing than anything like, oh, you're going to know which tape it is. There was no real explanation or anything, and I know that there wasn't supposed to be any sort of big story about that one. It's literally just a way to set up all the rest of the segments. Dealing with the rest of the segments, there was 5 that they watched. A couple of them were very, very good. And they're all kind of different. They're all in some way shot from kind of a first person perspective. They're all a different way. One of them is about a second honeymoon and they have a video camera. One of them is a guy that has like spy glasses that has a little cam in it. One of them is set on Halloween, which I actually think it's one of the best ones, and I'm going to talk about it here in a minute. But the guy is dressed up in like a bear costume with a little hidden camera in it, and he's supposed to be a nanny cam. That's what he's dressing up as, which I actually thought was really cool. And I'm like, that's a genius Halloween costume. Why have I never thought about something like that? You know? And one of them it was again with just a plain video camera, and one of them was actually done through Skype. And that's part of the thing that's kind of confusing to me, is that this movie is set in a time where there's still VHS tapes are prevalent, and not just in the fact that the guys are breaking into a house trying to find VHS tapes, but they're using like a big old school video camera that uses VHS tapes. So we haven't progressed anything else, but one of the people in one of the clips was actually using a digital camcorder. One of them was using Skype. So I don't know. In that sense, that's just a little goof, I guess, that maybe it's not supposed to be accurate again, but just a little nitpick thing in my mind. Like I said, some of the segments are great, especially the one that's done through Skype. It's called The Sick Thing That Happened to Emily When She Was Younger. That one is fantastic. It's actually it's easily my favorite one out of all of them, and I think it's the best one because it's interesting. It's set up almost like a ghost story, paranormal activity type thing, but it's got a really weird twist at the end that I didn't see coming. But the one that I really want to talk about is actually the last one. It's just called 10/31/98. It's just Halloween 1998. These guys are dressed up. They're going to a party at this big house. They go in, the house is empty. They start to kind of see some weird things. And in a lot of ways, it's set up almost like a classic haunted house story, you know? They're seeing things move. They're seeing things in the shadows. Things are happening to people off screen, but you don't see what it is. You know, it's very classic haunted house, like from like the 40s and 50s, and I loved that. It was really good, but then they got to the end and it got really weird really quick. It was kind of a nice mixture of like modern like possession type horror with a girl upstairs and this weird cult thing that I don't know if they were trying to sacrifice her or what, and old school this old house, haunted house on the hill type stuff. And again, it had a pretty good ending. That little clip had a really weird ending. Um, None of the stories were really tied together. None of them were supposed to. Uh, they were just kind of little 10, 15-minute segments that are supposed to be horror. The only one that actually, honestly, the only one that actually scared me at all was the one that was done on Skype, and it really wasn't scary. There was just a big jump scare at the end, like a big jump scare that I got me. The rest of them were just, they're fun to watch. They're good. It's, a decent movie. It's not terribly long. Well, actually, it's just under 2 hours, but it really doesn't feel like it because because it's all individual segments. It's like watching a bunch of mini movies. And that's the last thing I really want to talk about with this film. I like the idea of anthology horror. ABCs of Death is also a really good example. I've seen both of them. They're great. Now that one's different because it's definitely shorts. That one is really shorts, or like 3 or 4 minutes long a piece usually. This one is a little bit longer, but I like the idea of short form horror. Because one of the things that can ruin a horror movie more than anything is timing. Is when a movie gets a little too long, it gets bloated, and there's no tight, concise storytelling. Short form horror, you lose that. You don't have to worry about it because you only have a certain amount of time to tell a story. And so the story is going to be very well paced, it's going to be fast, quick, and gets to the point. Now, there's no time for real character development in a short form horror, but that's not what they're about. They're about telling a quick, concise story that's going to have some scares. I like that. I really love the idea of anthology horror. I know that there's been more. There's been 3, I think, VHS movies, and I'm actually going to be interested in looking up the other ones now. I know there's been 2 ABCs of Death. There's supposed to be something else that they're working on that I don't know if it's going to be more in the form of ABCs or Death or more in the form of this, and what I mean by that is the length of the segments. But that one is actually supposed to be done entirely by female directors, by female horror directors. And I hope that they eventually get to that because I'm really looking forward to it. Some of my favorite horror directors actually are females, and that is Jen and Silva Soska, the Soska twins. They made American Mary, and they're supposed to be in charge of that one. I hope they get to it eventually. And again, I'm rambling. But VHS, not bad. Worth a watch, definitely, if you find it like on Netflix or something. Some of the segments are really, really great. Again, especially 103198, which is the last one they do, and a sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger, which is like the 3rd one, I think, they do. Honestly, I would love to just find those individual clips and just have them. Those are just really good. They're tight, concise storytelling. Man, anthology horror. It's kind of this came out in 2012, and the sequels have come out after that. ABCs of Death, I think, came out in 2013. So this is in some ways kind of a new, kind of a trend that's coming back because they used to do short form horror. I know back in like the 60s they used to do a lot of short form horror, and this is something that's starting to come back, especially with the prevalence of the internet, places like YouTube where people can make these and put them up, or Vimeo where they could possibly get paid for it. People are starting to create their own short form horror, and I think it's great. I want to see more of this. I hope that some of the big companies start to realize how good of a format this is and start to take these people that are trying to be filmmakers and are trying to make these little indie shorts and give them a chance to get them out to a bigger audience. I think that's really fantastic. So I hope to see more, and yeah, check this out. It's not bad. See you next time. Bye.